Welcome to the Education Station podcast number 3. Today, we're going to do something a little bit different, and that is start a new format. Education Station is actually where we're going to start every time. So let's talk about the format just briefly, and then Chase and Shelly are going to jump in here. If you want to go ahead and show them, we're going to visit several stations each podcast, and they're going to be a little different each time. So the first station we're going to visit is actually about client conversations and specifically volatility. And then we've got some hot topic items, which would be, in this particular case, a little bit around the student loan situation. And last but not least, derailed. This is going to be a broader spot where we can talk about anything like today, risk range, or other things that tend to derail advisors or derail us, and we'll go from there. So let's hop on board with my other cohorts and travel down the tracks. A little, hopefully, smooth ride, not bumpy, or in this case, volatile. Shelly, what do you got?
I see what you did there.
I got you. All right.
So volatility, of course, has probably been, I think, one of the most common conversations that we've been having over the past maybe 6 to 8 weeks, right? And it's no different, obviously, for our advisors. Our advisors trigger the calls from their clients, and they just kind of want to have a conversation. So what's interesting about volatility is, of course, that it's a two-way street. It's just nobody tends to call with questions of, hey, why is the market up 10% in the last 6 weeks? It's more of, hey, why is the market down in the last 6 weeks by 10%? And so, just kind of calming those nerves, I think, is the most important thing that we can do in these volatility conversations, whether it's with the advisors, with the clients, or just in general. And you're probably getting to a situation where volatility may be normalizing when your neighbor starts talking to you about maybe selling their stocks because it's really too shaky for them. And that's where the advice of a good advisor comes into play. So what I'm curious to know, Jeff, I mean, I think we've all been in this business a long while. What do you think is the number one mistake that we make when having the volatility conversation?
Yeah, I think too often we forget that this too shall pass. I mean, it's our job is to calm advisors, and our role here, the three of us, is really to help give advisors some verbiage to calm things down. Volatility is going to be there. That's just the nature of the beast, right? If you want to be in equities, welcome to the club. So it's nothing more complicated than that. Our job is to help make sure that advisors have good verbiage to be able to answer questions, understand what's going on, and just keep it calm. Just keep it calm.
I couldn't agree more because, I love, I'm a big follower of Dr. Daniel Crosby, who's the chief behavioral officer at Orion. And he said something in a podcast recently that said, we as human beings are wired for negativity. And I think that's why obviously the conversations come up to the downside, but we're predictable. Like, human nature is predictable. And I think I said it the other day that at around 10%, I kind of have this visualization of, the meerkats on YouTube where they just kind of pop up. Like, around that 10% level of volatility is when you start to get an increase in these conversations. But I think that there's good information. You talk about verbiage. There's good information, good data, good statistics that we can share with our clients and our advisors. But at the end of the day, those alone aren't going to help them sleep better at night. They're looking for that word of confidence. And I love Manisha's quote of, you can't judge your 20-year money with 20-day movements in the markets. And I think this speaks true to, again, that how we're hardwired is that we tend to focus in on the near term. But our job, our advisors' jobs, are to kind of bring the focus back a little bit and focus on the big picture. There's always going to be headlines, right? Whether it's Russia, Ukraine, all of that. And, I think we've got a really good headline, too, in how we talk about student loans and what that means. So from our transition to hot topic, right? I think that there's always a point of awareness that we can bring to the conversation, whether it's the headlines or the underlying just financial plan, the solidity of a financial plan and how important it is.
Yeah, absolutely. So, from my perspective, I wanted to get to it before it was like a hot topic, like a pressing matter. Just be prepared. Obviously, it's been about 2 years since people have had to pay student loans. So, hopefully, you're aware of your client situations, whether or not they have student loans. If they had it prior, they most likely still have it right now. And I came across a pretty interesting stat that only about 1% of people with student loans continued on those payments through this last 2 years of kind of the pause. So
Wow.
yeah, 1% kind of surprised me. So I was actually in that 1%. So I'm not going to say that was the right thing or wrong thing. Everyone's situation is different. And
Yeah.
hopefully get it paid off before May. So that's been, number one priority list for me and my family. So this is just a topic of conversation. Bring that, circle back with these clients and make sure they have a plan in place. And two, just make sure, maybe if they're allocating resources to the side, maybe it makes sense for them to reallocate them to a different investment vehicle or anything of that nature. So I think starting with a household, generally speaking, a lot of your clients are going to be the parents. So whether or not they have student loans, but just bring it up, say, hey, have this conversation with little Jimmy or little Timmy, whatever it may be. And each time your name may be dropped in there, it just goes to solidify that, hey, you're looking out for their best interest, not only for them, but their whole family.
Yeah,
So
that's spot on, Chase. That's pretty spot on because we say this all the time. It's and it sounds weird sometimes coming from investment managers such as us, but we as a firm think that financial planning is the most valuable part of an advisor's role. That's where you really stand out because
yeah,
that idea of, in your case, it's not even a hot topic yet. It's a warming but getting bubbly topic, right?
yeah, it's coming.
Getting out in front of it is really important. And I maybe we can put this in the show notes. I had an article that I found when you mentioned this that referred to some of the things that you can do if you're sort of caught off guard and not prepared to be able to make those payments. Are there some deferments? Are there some other options that might be available? And hey, we all want to make sure that everybody pays back on time, right? But like you mentioned, everybody has their own situation, so it's better to be armed with options than to just throw something out there, lob the grenade, and let it go. So
Yeah. Yeah, we're certainly not speculating if it's gonna be pushed back further than, May, but, it's coming sooner or later. You like to you probably should prepare for that. So, I
yeah.
think just the failure of planning is a great way to, derail your, overall plan. So with that, what do you got for us, Jeff?
Oh boy, we're just full of them today, aren't we? Nice job, nice job. So yeah, this station derailed is, as I mentioned, is really about what we can do to help avoid advisors becoming derailed in this particular situation for today, and that is something I call risk range. And from that standpoint, Shelley, before I go into any deeper there, when we were talking about this earlier, you had a great sort of analogy or reference, and you want to shoot that to us?
Yeah, absolutely. So, um, the way that I liken the whole conversation around risk is if you think about when you go to the doctor and you have your blood work done and they give you a range of where normal should be, it should between here and here. Just because you might be on the upper end of that band doesn't necessarily mean that you should, immediately start looking for the prescriptions or looking for the pills to bring the blood pressure down or whatever the case may be. It's just a point of awareness of, hey, we are in this range. So I think risk and the risk score kind of comes into play very nicely there. So I really liked the analogy.
Yeah, it's and this does actually circle back to what a little bit what I mentioned before from the standpoint of, it's very easy as an advisor to have clients call when their little meerkat heads pop up and look around at 10% or so decline and say, "Oh my God, is everything going to be okay?" The reality is, you hear that enough, it's very easy to accidentally, as an advisor, become derailed and have your hair on fire just as much as the clients. The reality is, you have two choices when you get that phone call. One is to be a fan to the flame, the other is to be a fire extinguisher. And again, our role is to help you come up with verbiage and thoughts and perspectives to make sure that whatever the manager combination, whether that's Potomac, whether that's something else, and of course, we always recommend combining different strategists together, that you know what the risk range is for that, and you understand that, as long as it's within the range, you're good. Only when it starts to get close or exceed that should there be a bit of a question. And it doesn't mean that anything's wrong. It's just those sorts of things happen. So yeah, don't get too riled up. Don't get caught up. Be the fire extinguisher. And on that note, I think we need to wrap this up because we're about 10 minutes. So as you can see, we're doing a little shorter podcast. That's our goal. That's what we want to do. So I want to make sure as this train rolls along that we have you like and subscribe to our YouTube podcast, the Conquer Risk podcast. We have a lot of different shows. We're here to obviously do a little bit of entertainment, but more so bring important topics, ideas, concepts to you to help you, the advisor, make your day a little simpler. So on that note, Chase, what do we do?
I knew it was coming to me.
Choo, choo. There we go. There we go.
Bravo.
All right. Thank you much. We appreciate everybody viewing. Have a great day.
Bye.